Where Nothing Bleeds by Interstellarism on AO3. Episode 8, Chapter 8, Deliberation. Simon seemed to have been taking it well as he could, despite how insane it was. It was the most insane theory that Grace had come up with, but it made too much sense to not be true. Evolution was a tricky thing. It's what got him and Rocky nearly killed after they assumed that the Talmiba 82.5 strain would be perfectly safe in their Cenonite breeder tanks. He had guided its development and selected generation after generation of Talmiba to develop nitrogen resistance. He himself had messed with evolution to get his desired result. But evolution never has just one goal. It wants to survive, but it also adapts enough that it can escape any other possible threats. Talmiba 82.5 had not become smarter in any conscious sense. It just did what any organism would do, and it simply adapted. It learned chemically and structurally to evade the nitrogen apocalypse within the breeder tanks by embedding itself deeper into the Cenonite, exploiting a blind spot in their design. And it had done all of that in a matter of weeks. Weeks. Grace exhaled slowly. If something that simple could deviate that quickly, then exploiting the curve of other centuries could be devastating for every planet out there with an astrophage problem. It evolved enough to do that in only a few weeks. So, what more could astrophage, the prey species, do with several hundreds of years? Prey species were not inherently more intelligent than predators. Both evolved strategies like avoidance, pursuit, deception, efficiency. Intelligence, in biological terms, was a response more than it was hereditary. But the scale made it all that different. Astrophage was not confined to a singular ecosystem. It had always traveled multiple star systems, enduring vacuum, radiation, extreme temperatures, and widely different energy conditions. Every environment it enclosed imposed new pressures. It was like comparing a rabbit to a coyote, except the rabbit had already been to every possible environment out there and has endured and built endurance to every possible condition. The coyote has never left its home, Adrian, and exists to exploit one niche, and one niche only. And that was to consume astrophage within the conditions of Adrian. Talmiba never had a reason to evolve until Grace pressured it. Astrophage had been everywhere, all at once. It developing intelligence was the least surprising thing about it. When there was enough of it, it developed consciousness. It spread itself and it recognized its priorities so it could make the most of its newly developed natural networks. It created those blood moons for its own self gain. Pleasure, maybe? Or entertainment. Curiosity? Evolution happens for a reason, and logically there would be no need to develop a consciousness unless it became necessary. Grace raises his hands and starts tracing shapes in the air. Talking in his head, he probably looked insane. It's like, oh, I'm extremely efficient species already, but to make it even more efficient, I need to become conscious. Why? Because there's too much of me. And if there's too much of me, and those me's want to eat every star, then we'll run out of food. I need to develop consciousness so I could put a big chunk of me somewhere else where they could chill out for a bit. That was a turning point that made Astrophage realize it needed to be more than just space algae. Maybe it reached a point where simple reactions were no longer enough. It was spread across countless star systems, competing for finite energy, and interacting in numbers too vast to remain independent. Given enough time, enough interactions, and enough need to optimize, the system stopped behaving like separate organisms and started behaving like a single, unified unit. Like the CPU of a computer. a brain that told all the other things what to do. They were probably trillions upon trillions of astrophage organisms scattered across billions of galaxies, and stars are a finite resource. And just like any rapid developing species on Earth, if a species engages in overconsumption, it risks extinction. And not only that, it would have to distribute itself infinitely when it grew large enough in population. Like how some dinosaurs started small at first, but eventually evolved to become enormous to suit their own needs. Whether that need was movement or access to food, it evolved. An evolved astrophage, or ephage, as he now grew to call it, he's still bad at names, needs a way to distribute itself across the universe. Maybe that's where the blood oceans come in. Perhaps when the Hail Mary of Simon's universe failed, ephage found a way to make contact with the dead human beings on the board. And because it never made contact with organisms being before in its own environment, it decided to model its own existence after the human make. Hence, the blood oceans. When Grace asked Simon to describe the creature, he had mentioned organic material, a fish eel thing made of bones and ribcage. He remembered thinking, that's strangely Earth-like anatomy for something that evolved in deep space, and should have no frame of reference for human organic matter. But it made sense. If astrophage had encountered human biology, dead or alive, it would not understand in the way humans did. It would not see bones or organs, but it would see the structure of it. Things like loaded bearing frameworks or the human body's fluid systems, efficient configurations of matter. The human body is technically a machine with different working parts made to process a million different functions. And if it developed the capacity to reorganize matter or energy at scale, then it could replicate those patterns. Like it was a computer, except all its data was spread out like vomit across the universe, and needed a way to keep all that vomit inside, but had nothing to copy. Gross. He kept going back to his main point. The best part about astrophage was how efficient it was at storing energy. Efficiency was the backbone of this entire species. That's why any billionaire on Earth would probably throw away millions of dollars just to have a single gram of the stuff. And if human anatomy was the most efficient structure it had encountered for certain functions, then that was what it would use, a copycat life form. He was never religious himself, but his dad was. He knew all about it. And God made man in his image and likeness. Only this time, humans became the prime inspo for evolved astrophage's new, fancy appearance. Maybe they thought the black cell blob grew outdated. This time, it's more like God saw man and decided to use their skin and blood as home decor. The blood moons were probably the parts of ephage that needed to be kept in storage. Massive concentrations of ephage that needed a place to just chill out. He pushed himself off his desk in sighs and exhaustion, feeling like his brain had gone on a several-hour-long marathon. These were all a bunch of maybes and probabilities, but it's a bit scary how it makes sense. He's been typing all his theories and hypotheses into his computer for hours now, logging them into the Hail Mary's system. If Eridian scientists could build him a probe to send back to Earth, then it would be a fun little nugget to send their scientists back home. Like, hey, by the way, the multiverse is real, and if we failed, we would have all been eaten by a giant astrophage space eel. Would that cause more damage than good? Probably. Part of him feels cheeky enough to do it. Grace! Grace friend! Rot, the door is open. You don't have to wait for me to open it every single time. He grunts when he gets up. His back hurts. Sometimes he forgets he grows older a bit faster here because of the gravity. Arthritis would settle in soon. He gets up anyways and opens the door. He sees his friend dressed in the celebratory clothing he wore back when they were going to part ways. It instantly brings a smile to his face. What's the special occasion? It celebrates! Adrian and I make decision to have egg. His eyes nearly bug out of his head as he bends down to meet him at eye level. What? That's incredible, Rocky. Since when? We make decision yesterday. I carry egg in 5 Eridian days, but tonight we have a special celebration. Here, in Human Dome. You're going to carry the egg? Yes, it's very good. Excite, excite, excite! I'm so proud of you, buddy. But why here in my dome? Wouldn't it be better to celebrate with other Eridians outside? Surely they didn't have enough oxygen suits for that. No worry, plenty suits. Eridian engineers fast. Once again, he is proven wrong. Rocky want Grace to be there. Grace friend. But also love. He feels his eyes gloss over with tears. He sniffles. I love you too, buddy. He'll be happy to be there. Bring friend Simon? He is Grace's mate now, yes? Whoa, what? Yes, later. When clock reach here. He points a claw over to the 5 p.m. hour on Earth clock. Do not be late or anger. Bye. Bye, buddy. Time to invite Simon to a baby shower. Oh, wow. Hold up. How many words is this? This is a big scroll bar. Holy moly. Yeah, that seems like I'm gonna have to split that one in two. Because that's like 40 minutes. Holy moly. Anyways, this is such a sweet... I forget how much this... Oh, I forget how much I love this fic. I've already read it before, so like I can't tell you like, you know, stuff like that, but like I forget how much I absolutely adore this. I turned around and Storm is just staring at me. We love that in this household. Anyways, I don't have really much to add, so I don't know, you probably have noticed the new thumbnail. I hope you guys like it. I was originally going to test it out with some videos and doing the YouTube testing thingy. You know, half showing it to some people, half not showing it to other people, see what it's like. But like, I low-key fell in love with how it looks like. It's a little more minimalistic, and looking at it now, I used to love my old thumbnails, do not get me wrong. But looking at this new one now, it's like, oh my god. The other ones feel claustrophobic. This one just feels nice, you know? You know. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.